Awakened Creators, Amanda here. In today's video, I'm going to explain a lesser known concept of creative flow that I don't hear a lot of people talking about, but that's a real game changer as far as your creative journey is concerned. So if you really want to understand what creative flow truly is so that you can start being in it more often, then this video is for you. This video is going to be a series of videos where I talk about the creative flow process, what it is, and how it works, so that you can better understand your own creative journey as you move through it. If you are new to the channel, welcome. Here at Awakened Creators, we do the inner work necessary to do the outer work that we love, and I am so thankful to be a part of your creative journey. If you find value in today's video, I would love if you would join us by subscribing and making sure to hit the bell so that you're notified whenever we upload new content. So without further ado, let's get into the discussion and talk about creative flow and the truth about what creative flow truly is that no one has ever told you before. Years ago, I received information from my higher wisdom about the creative flow process that completely changed the game for me. I realized that there was much more going on to this whole creative flow thing than I'd previously been told, and that by understanding this information, my ability to enjoy the creative process became deeper and deeper. Today, I want to share that wisdom with you so that you can apply this knowledge and perspective to your own creative journey and let yourself off the hook for a lot of things that I think creatives punish ourselves for that really we don't need to. So let's start this conversation by talking about how creative flow is typically discussed in creative circles. Generally, you will hear people talk about creative flow or flow states or being in the zone as some kind of feeling that you get when you're really in tune with what it is you're creating. And while, yes, creative flow has a particular feeling to it, that's only part of the story. And we're going to share with you the full story here in this video, so stay tuned. Creative flow is also widely discussed as only occurring when you're actively in the state of creating. So when your hands are on the camera or when your paintbrush is touching the canvas, then you can experience a state of creative flow. Unfortunately, this leads many of us to believe that aspects of the creative process are not necessarily in flow, or that we can only be in flow if we are in a constant state of output, and that can drive creatives to burn out more quickly and have unrealistic expectations of their creative performance. In fact, I did a whole real talk video on what creative flow is not, where I dispel a lot of these myths, and I will link to it here. So if creative flow is a feeling, but there's more to it than that, and creative flow is not something that only shows up when we're in an active state of creating, then what the heck is it? Here is my definition of creative flow as I understand it. After I give you this definition, we're going to break it down and I'm going to explain to you the components that I think are the most important for you to pay attention to so you can understand the truth of creative flow that no one has ever told you. So my definition of creative flow, as I understand it, it's a state of being that emerges naturally when a creator is in harmony with all aspects of the creative process. I'll repeat it. Creative flow is a state of being that emerges naturally when a creator is in harmony with all aspects of the creative process. So what does that mean? Like I said, I'm going to break this definition down into the most important pieces so that we can understand creative flow and the truth about creative flow. So firstly, I mentioned that creative flow is a state of being. Now, one of my all-time favorite philosophers, Alan Watts, said to remind ourselves often that we're a human being, not a human doing. Being is also something that the great Eckhart Tolle talks about in his book, The Power of Now, which if you haven't read it, I highly recommend that you read this book as a creative because it's going to help you understand what flow truly is. In Tolle's book, he says this: give your fullest attention to whatever the moment presents. This implies that you also completely accept what is, because you cannot give your full attention to something and at the same time resist it. As soon as you honor the present moment, all unhappiness and struggle dissolve, and life begins to flow with joy and ease. You no longer depend on the future for fulfillment and satisfaction. Therefore, you are not attached to the results. Neither failure nor success has the power to change your inner state of being. You have found the life underneath your life situation. This totally teaches us that state of being is not concerned with the future or outcomes, which can so often be the obsession of creatives and what we're told to worry about constantly. Whether our work will sell, whether it'll get picked up by a publisher or an art agency, that isn't what's important. What's important is that we maintain and focus on a state of being, accepting each moment as it is with full surrender. When we do that, creative flow emerges naturally. So, how is that so? How does creative flow just emerge naturally when we are in that state of being? Well, if you think about the nature of the universe and the isness that all of this is, all happening right now, in this present moment, it always has been, it always will be, it just is. That master consciousness that moves through all is the isness in which flow emerges. When we can tap into a state of heartfelt presence, as I like to call it, or being, we're naturally going to align ourselves with the isness of the all, and that all is a place of love, unconditional, and acceptance of what is. And it's only whether we are in harmony with that isness or in dissonance with it that creates those feelings of resistance or creative blocks, as we like to call them here. So in our definition earlier, we talked about a creator who is in harmony with all aspects of the creative process. Harmony is what happens when sound is vibrating in a way that creates a unity that moves together. It's the symphony of life. When we are in harmony with our creative process, we are in alignment with it. That's why here at Awakened Creators, we talk a lot about heart alignment. This is the harmony, the alignment that we're talking about. So whenever we say something like, I'm in flow or I'm out of flow, the way I'd like you to think about it is, are you in harmony or out of harmony with the creative process? When you experience creative blocks, and I've done a video on this about what that dissonance, what that feeling of resistance is trying to teach you, and I'll link to it here. But whenever you feel that, praise God, because that is a sign, a symbol for you to recognize, oh, I'm out of harmony with the all that is. And you can get back into alignment through the being or heartfelt presence that we just talked about. The acceptance of what is in this moment. Now we mentioned that to be in harmony is to be in harmony with all aspects of the creative process. At the start of the video, I talked about how we make the mistake of thinking of creative flow as only happening when we're actively in a state of creative. We're actively putting pen to paper, making something happen. Creative flow has more components to it than just actively manifesting through our bodies. The other elements include mental processing in order to conceptualize the inspiration that we've received. Speaking of inspiration and that spiritual element of receiving and surrender, resting, and allowing inspiration to find you where you are. All of these are elements of the entire creative flow process. And in order for us to truly be in that state of flow, we must accept all stages of creation. I liken it to this. The tree is always in a state of flow, no matter what stage of the process it's in. Whether it's in the winter, resting, hibernating, going within, or in the spring, budding with new ideas, or in the summer and fall, ample and ready to share what is created. As above, so below. When we look out to the world around us, we see evidence of the cycle of creative flow that I'm talking to you about in action. You only have to pay attention. So let me ask you a question and put it in the comments below. When do you most feel in a state of creative flow? How would you describe it? Share in the comments below. Let's open up a dialogue about what you feel like creative flow is. I'd love to hear from you. So now that we see all of the components in place, let's revisit the definition that I shared with you earlier. Creative flow is a state of being that emerges naturally when a creator is in harmony with all aspects of the creative process. So let me ask you, do you feel like you are in a state of being when you create? Do you feel like you are in harmony with all aspects of the creative process? Or are there certain parts of it that you resist greatly? These are the kind of questions that are going to lead you towards a beautiful adventure along your creative journey, where you get to learn about yourself on a deeper, more spiritual level and transform your creative journey into the greatest masterpiece you'll ever create, your life. And that's what we're going for here at Awakened Creators. So now that we understand what creative flow is, let's talk about the first aspect of creative flow process. Where does creativity come from? What is inspiration? These are the things we'll be talking about in the next video in this series. So if you'd like to continue, I invite you to keep watching. Otherwise, give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Share it with a friend who you think might find it interesting. And if you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, please do, and make sure to hit the bell so you're notified when the next video in the series posts. I thank you so much for being here with me, and I'll see you in the next video. Namaste.